Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ukulele Underground podcast. My name is Aldrine Guerrero. Joining me are Mr. Aaron the Voice, Nakamura. Say what's up, Aaron.
What's up?
Mr. Kahai the Legend Ferguson. Say what's up, Kahai.
What's up?
Gentlemen, it is Monday, 12 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. I gotta say that now because I feel like daylight savings was like a week or two ago and stuff, and some people are still kind of adjusting. So 12 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Check your local listings if you want to join us live. But what we do here is we talk any and all things ukulele. We answer all of your questions with our opinions, right? You got Q's, we got O's for those Q's, right, Kahai? Mm-hmm. I'll answer it as best as I can. Then these two guys will answer it as best as they can, and I'm gonna give you my 2 cents. They're gonna give you their 2 cents, and we're gonna come up with the best 6-cent answer just for you. So, with that said, that's how this format works. You can give it to us however you want to give it to us. Your question, you can ask us via the live chat. We are live, and we have a live chat. You can ask your questions there. You can send us emails. You can send us a phone call, whatever, right? God, there's a number of people can call, right? We haven't put it up in a long time, but there is a number where people can call, hear their voice on this award-winning podcast.
Maybe we should check if that number is still active. But
Yeah, it should be.
What if there's a bunch of people that did call and we just never check it? And there's a bunch of questions in there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What if that one guy that's like, hey, you don't want to answer my question, they're like, I tried the voicemail and I tried doing it via the live chat and stuff. You guys just don't like me, right? And you'd be right.
yeah, there might be other reasons why we don't answer your question.
No, it's that I feel like if I'm gonna try to reach that uncle status that I was talking about last week,
Yeah, that's true.
it's got to be brutally honest, right?
Yep. Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Well, with that said, Kahai, what do you want to talk about?
Aaron has something to talk about today.
Ooh, Aaron, what's up, man?
So we're just kind of talking about because we've talked about how you said there are 3 levels of entertainer,
Okay, yeah.
and so Kahai and I were talking a little bit about just you have an onstage persona.
Yes.
That you've developed over time, and it's kind
on
of
camera also.
And on camera
on stage,
now.
on camera.
Yeah.
Persona, yes.
But more for performing.
Yeah,
being on stage.
Right.
Do you remember when or how you started, developing that, or what? Because you've said before that it's influenced by wrestling and comedians and stuff, but what even gave you the idea to incorporate that, and how did you even begin doing that?
Was there a point where you kind of transitioned from Aldrine the ukulele player to Aldrine this perform or this
entertainer,
or even just your regular Aldrine self to I feel,
turn it up to 11.
Or I feel like I need to be someone else on stage, and how did you go about doing that?
I don't know. There's not an exact moment. I feel like it's just a lot of things leading up to to the point where I'm like this. And I feel like it's just week after week of the audience just letting me get away with things. I think it's that. And just the experimentation of what else can I get away with, in the name of performance, or in the name of a joke, or in the name of entertainment, how far can I keep pushing this envelope? I think it's that. But if we go back, I feel like a lot of it started in my days in college when I was going to KCC over in Kapiolani, and I would go every Monday to a place called Volcano Joe's, like that. Honestly, and that's why I tell people that go to open mics, participate and do some crowd work there, because that's really where where you're gonna learn some crowd work, or where you're gonna learn stage presence, or where you're going to learn how to banter with with the audience. Because in that place, I wasn't just bantering with the audience, but the audience was also half of it was the musicians that was playing for the for the open mic. So it's how do you how do you stand out and in a long list of like really good musicians, because like at that particular open mic, like, everyone was pretty good. Everyone had like a, like had a story to tell. Everyone had a great voice. Everyone could play and stuff. Like how, and I was, I kept asking myself, how do I make myself memorable? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not necessarily like the best singer. I'm not even the best uke player there, like it's one of those, how do I deal with this and how do I stand out and how do I make people care? That's like how do I make people care about what I'm doing? Because, it's an open mic. They've been like, they've been impressed and they've been entertained by like others, before and after me. And also it's like it's a coffee shop / like little kind of snack eatery kind of place, like at the college or at the university. So that it was kind of difficult. But during that time, while I was in college, I feel like for me it was the golden years of me just finding stand up on back then YouTube was like a different place. People just uploaded whatever they wanted, like on YouTube or Daily Motion or things like that. And I didn't necessarily have cable, so I was just watching, and learning from from these guys that I would watch. You got guys like Birbiglia. You got guys like, of course, Dave Chappelle. Like the Chappelle Show was like a big deal back then, and like in his stand-ups were like super legendary, And then you got like classics like Eddie Murphy and and Richard Pryor and stuff, and all of them had just had this connection, with the audience. And at that time, like wrestling was being there was like a South Park episode of like the joke was like the word wrestling actually referred to acting, like, oh man, you're such a great wrestler, or a great talker or like actor, that was like the South Park joke of like, man, you wrestle so good. I'm about to wrestle right now, give me that microphone. So and at that time I was just kind of like, okay, what's a joke that I can kind of use, or it's something that I can kind of say on stage. So I think it's just week after week of like trying stuff and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't work, and then of course like being on Ukulele Underground, and I think doing the it's what some people don't know this, but this podcast started out as a live lesson, Wednesday live lesson. So me doing a bunch of lives online too is kind of like the next step of that, of being like a performer, like, because you're streaming and you want people to care. And I think like streamers nowadays and influencers kind of got like some formula, like a lot of them go, hey guys, or there's like things that they say that to kind of entertain the audience. Back in the day when it was like Wild West, no one knew like what the formula was. So like I just tried to be as entertaining, as possible. So, and then I think eventually, having this show or having like Thursday, I think Wednesday live lesson became Thursday live lesson, which then became the Ukulele on podcast. And then, like traveling with a bunch of people, and then doing Wednesday shows at Oasis. And I'm lucky to have Oasis as like, I've been playing there I found out about like almost 20 years. Like I'm like 18 years playing, at Oasis, and those people like
longer than it's been Oasis,
right? It's turned into a spot to see us, like it's turned into my spot on Wednesday, where like I put together this performance. It's not even like a gig where like people are eating and I play. It's like people know that I'm playing and they go there, like they can eat and drink if they want, but people go there like to come see us. I know that sounds really like conceited of me to say it, and we're like, oh, people are there to watch. But like honestly, that's the vibe. Like, and everyone kind of knows it, like that's the one day a week that Oasis has live music, and it's us, and people fly from like all over the place specifically to come watch us play.
Yeah, and then the people that don't know that show up and is like, oh, the music's too loud.
Yeah, And then
you could come at any other time to Oasis, and
it's like being in the audience.
Yeah.
I feel like the servers like go up to people who might not know, and they're like, "Oh, so you guys know Aldrine?" And they're like, "No, we just wanted to eat here."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, good luck."
Yeah,
then."
so like not everyone, I didn't say everyone came out to see us, but people would come to see us, like specifically at that
but
show.
that is like kind of the norm, and so like everybody who works there thinks that it's like people who are coming. Oh, you must be coming for to see the show,
to see the Nights of Acoustica show, and I don't know, because I mean even like the term Aaron the Voice, I didn't come up with that. That's like Ryan Isaki and Mark Baldonado who used to call you that, right? But then like I just hung on to like every little thing that I could hang and turn it into a bit, like because that's what makes an entertaining show. And then like I have always liked that dynamic of like Abbott and Costello and whatever, I'm like the loud, obnoxious one, and Aaron is like the straight man who kind of just plays it, plays it really like really straight, right? And that kind of became, a thing. And then when this show became like the podcast, or even Thursday Live Lesson, when Kahai would just be like our sound guy and on the side. It really was like me and Aaron talking and answering questions and stuff, and Kahai would be on the side. But for me, like, it's about entertainment, like, and I can't just, because for the people that don't know Kahai, and there's a lot of you that don't know him personally, like he's a very reserved dude. So I could say that like Kahai also has this like I guess not on screen, but like this on mic persona like as well. Like that's not, you know what I mean? Like that's, yes, this is you, but then this is you turned up to 11, right? And that's like, or even 21.
To most people, Kahai's character on this is pretty subdued, but that is Kahai turned up to 11.
yeah. Like Friday, I said that when you ask me questions, it's like a Pavlovian response where I just like snap to it. I'm like, it's like a secret sleeper agent, and I just gotta go, yes.
Yeah. So the on switch is me going, right, Kahai? That's the on switch, and then he knows to turn it on. He knows to turn the persona on.
Even that little bit, right? Because like if you ask me something off stream, I probably would just be like, yeah, sure, whatever. It would be way down. It wouldn't be like, yeah.
It's that. So there's no like any one specific moment. It was just a bunch of moments like that builds up to like to where the show is now, like performance wise. And then like of course, like touring with guys like Kale and guys like we've toured with so many people, and Abe and Taimane. I was gonna say Taimane and Jake. We've like not we didn't tour with him, but we've like cross paths on tour, and all these amazing musicians. So you're just kind of like, how do I stand out? Like I can't out Kale. Same thing. Like all these things just process in my mind. Like how do I make this show exciting, or how do I make people care about like what I'm doing on stage? Because like for all intents and purposes, people were just like, oh, okay, there's music playing right now, and like, because if I didn't interact, if I didn't talk, and I just played, people were like, oh, that was good, I guess, like that was fine. So I have to like, I mean, I don't know, as an entertainer, like it's your job, right? Like to entertain, and like if people are not talking about the performers or not like clapping or not like participating, I feel like I'm not doing my job, and that's it. And I feel like I wouldn't be enjoying my job if people weren't doing that. So like I almost like try a little too hard to make sure that people are into it so I can get into it, because like what you guys don't see is that in a mediocre show, like if people weren't into it, but like like we claps here and there and stuff, I'm always, I'm correcting this and Aaron. I was like, man, that show, I don't know. I don't know what I could have done. Like I tried everything. Like I'm really hard on myself, like I'm like, I don't know. Like I tried whatever I could. I tried playing the right songs. I tried making like the usual banter that I would do. Just nothing was working. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm like,
no reaction.
Yeah. I'm like, Aaron, I'm so sorry. But I tried, dude. Like I tried whatever I could.
But that's like a standard show for
for most people. Right.
But
for me,
at that same bar. bar or whatever.
Yeah, and because that's it. Like, it's not just about the payment. It's not just about the claps and stuff. It's like I want people to genuinely have a good time, And I was explaining this to Genevieve during our live coaching that like I am at an advantage in the fact that like the people who come to see our show, either they've seen me before or have known me from somewhere, so I'm coming in at an advantage in the fact that like I've either taught you something or you've seen me play before, have you heard my songs before? So you're going there, not in the sense that like, okay, I wonder, like, I wonder what he's going to sound like. You're going
at
there.
Least maybe a handful of people at the show
have an idea. So, and in that sense, like if I've taught you something, you kind of have a connection with me already in the sense that like, I learned from that guy or whatever, like, and then it kind of transforms into like, I'm watching this performer play or I'm seeing this, performer or whatever. It's just kind of like, I'm going to go check out my ukulele teacher or like, if you've been a fan of the show, it's like, I'm gonna go watch Aldrine, like my friend or whatever. Like I joke around, or he jokes around with me, like on, and I don't know any like a bunch of these people that are on stream and are on the chat right now, but I joke around with them, like like I've known them forever. Like I've never met Yoda, but I'm like cracking jokes with Yoda all the time. But correct me, Yoda, if we've met before. Yoda's like, what are you talking about, man? Like I treated you to lunch, But yeah, like. But I feel like I can joke around. Like prior to meeting Genevieve, I was like joking around with her, and and all these people, like, and so there's already that advantage of going into like a performance, and I feel like I do take advantage of of that, like, and I get people are already comfortable because like, it's just Aldrine, like Aldrine's doing a show or whatever, and yeah, so it's a culmination of a lot of things happening. It's not like it wasn't an easy path to like to get to where the show is now. So if you were to ask me like what's the formula and whatever, like I don't know, because there's a lot of ingredients in the stew.
Just start.
Just
if you want to go on that path.
I mean, because it is like if you do something every single week, right? It's kind of crazy to expect that it's going to stay the same or it's not going to change throughout like your time of doing it. So.
But I mean, like my ultimate goal was just to be myself, like on stage and that would be enough. And I think I'm like slowly reaching that, that goal of like, yes, it is me, but turned up to 11, like in the wrestling sense, like a lot of those wrestling characters are basically just them turned up to 11. And I've taken that same mentality of like, okay, I'm just going to go on stage as myself, turn up to 11.
Yeah, I think what I've heard is like a lot of people start off with a persona that's like farther from them.
Yeah.
And then kind of realize like, oh, but what people actually like is like the parts of me that I'm actually showing, right? So it's like to let that come out more and more and be myself more.
My problem though, and I said this at the live lesson as well, or the live coaching, is that sometimes because I have this persona, people can't seem to separate the persona and the guy. You know what I mean? Like people just think that I'm like this,
Or and the fact that it's like not wildly different things, right? Like where it's like, oh, that guy, or it's like, oh, it's like Two-Face where it's like when I'm this side, you only see this.
Yeah. Like I'm not hiding stuff, but it's just like, but I am not that guy. Like I'm not just gonna like insult people or what I mean. Like that's not my MO. Like I don't.
But on mic,
oh heck yeah, you know what I mean. Like but then again, you meet a comedian or or a comedian's telling jokes and stuff. But like it's gotta like as soon as you get off stage, you gotta turn it off somehow, right? I would imagine I'm not a comedian, but right, or else it would just drive you crazy. Yeah. So or. You're telling jokes or you even like doing crowd work and whatever. You're not, if you're doing that 24/7, like that's exhausting. I feel like, so, that is not me. That is like the me turned up to 11. And I know this is going to sound weird, but I'm actually like, as far as personal life, like I'm kind of a private guy. Like the stuff that I post on Instagram are like our highlight reels of of stuff that I want people to see. But I'm not like putting like I went through a bunch of hardships and I wasn't like posting about like hardship that I was going through, and but but when people look at the Instagram, look at the whatever, Facebook, YouTube, and then see all these things, and then and seeing my persona on stage, like that guy, so there are a bunch of haters, you know what I mean? They're like, how is it that he's getting the crowd on it? He's not even that good. He can't sing that well. He's very. He's a very messy player. He's just super loud. I don't understand why people like that guy. You know? So I get that all the time. And like I said, I'm Teflon skin. I don't care. You know what I mean? Because why would I waste my time on that and not concentrate on the people who are having a great time? You know? Because that's who I'm playing for. I'm not playing for the the haters in the back.
It is a thing where it's that person doesn't get they don't get the punchline, right?
Yeah, so and you can't expect everyone to.
Yeah, it's but I'm not gonna spend my time being okay, take everybody off to the side. If you didn't get this joke, let me explain it to you.
Yeah, a comedian's not gonna go explain every single joke that they're saying, right? It's you either get it or you don't, and some people don't, and that's fine. I don't expect 100% of the people that come to our show to get it. You know, I do expect to for people to be put off, and it's oh, it's too loud or whatever, and then I just make fun of you to the people who do get it.
So part of this question came from the fact that my fiance's family came to the show on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you did a joke. And it was 2 layers deep where there was a lady asking for Neil Diamond.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then you made a joke about Richie Val, or you just said La Bamba.
La Bamba. Yeah.
And so it's funny because my fiance's dad, it feels like he was the only one that got the joke in the whole audience, right?
Yeah, because he said that guy's Filipino or whatever.
No, he said that's the other diamond.
That's right. He said that's the other diamond.
So he got it. But the fact that you put the joke out there for only a 1% of the population to get that joke,
Yeah. A lot of the time, I just say jokes for myself, and if somebody gets it, it's even better.
Yeah.
Because after last week's podcast, right?
Yeah.
I think, was it you, Aaron, that said Daniel Tosh does that? Where it's he said he narrows down his joke until it's very specifically one person.
Yeah. He keeps telling more and more details to the joke that by the end of the joke, only one guy gets it, but to that one guy, it's amazing.
That's funny. We were talking about that on Monday.
Yeah.
And then on Friday, that exact scenario happens where I tell a very, very, very specific joke that only one person gets.
Yeah.
Because I think on Monday when we were talking about ukulele uncles, it's very specific, and we were in the room, all of us were cracking up, right? But then to see Brada Sam and Chris get it, it's oh yes. And it's not even aiming, thinking Brada Sam and Chris will get it. It's having them respond in the chat with something. It's oh, I forgot. Yeah, of course you would get it.
Yeah, we cast a wide enough net, I feel it was a very specific.
But then you drill down and get more and more specific.
Because
that's...
I did see with that thing too. It's people talking about it, and it's I don't think you guys know what we're talking about exactly. It's a very specific person we're talking about, or a stereotype in Hawaii.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. Yeah. So the lady asked for some Neil Diamond. And and I was desperately asking Kaniho, what is to kneel in Hawaiian? Because I knew what diamond was. Diamond is kaimana, right? So if he just told me and he didn't know, if he just told me what kneeling was in Hawaiian, I would have said this is a Hawaiian song from whatever kaimana, it would have been Neil Diamond.
But the first joke was
Lou Diamond Phillips.
Or you denied knowing who Neil Diamond was.
That's right. I was
first.
because I was saying that sorry, we only play 1920s Hawaiian music, and I don't know who is Neil Diamond. I don't even know who that is. We only play 1920s Hawaiian, And then so I go, this classic. So this is one of the most Hawaiian songs you'll ever hear in Hawaii. And then we go to Margaritaville, and then people are and then I'm that's from 1920s, and then and then I just keep going until it gets more and more specific until nobody gets it except for I guess your fiance's dad.
You said who's Neil Diamond? Oh no, that's the guy who did La
Yeah, that's
Bamba,
right.
right?
That's the La Bamba guy. It's La Bamba. And then he's like, wrong diamond.
Yeah.
And then I proceeded to play "Come On, Let's Go" by by Richie Valens.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't even the La Bamba guy. It's the guy who plays.
Richie
There's like
Valens.
layers upon layers of See, that's just. My brain works in weird, mysterious ways.
Yeah.
So it's like layered upon layered upon layer. And I didn't expect anybody to get it, but when somebody does, it's freaking gold, man.
It's like when you said that, like who's Neil Diamond? I just know if you did that for a jam, I know what comment could come up that would be like, oh, they took the bait. Yes. Yes, I got them. Yeah. And then it's like, it really is like reeling in a fish, because then it's just like, ooh, here it comes.
Yeah, that. And I keep, I keep instigating to him, like, who is that? Like, I don't know who that is. And then like, I'll play a little bit of like what it is, and they're like, that's the one. That's the song. Because I did that too.
Yeah.
It's like, I started going, where it began. They're like, that's the song. I'm like, what song are you talking about? Just fully like making them feel crazy, like the more crazy that they feel, and it's only that one lady and everyone else is in on it now, because they're like, so he's just making fun of that lady.
And then once we played the entire song, I think she understood that, you're just trolling.
Yeah.
This entire show is just you trolling.
Yeah, it's just me trolling that one person. Everyone laughing at that one person, But in order to make that person feel good, like, we did play a bunch of songs that person asked for. So it's not like we were like ignoring and just making fun of her, like it. And then at the end of the show, then you feel like you're a part of it. Because
they feel that they were part of the entire experience.
And that's how it is, like in comedy clubs, right? Like like if you become the target of the comedian, then it makes for an even better show, because it's just that's like now like an experience that you had, or imagine going to a show by Birbiglia or by Chappelle or something, and being made fun of. I'm like, oh my god, I went to the Dave Chappelle show and he like made fun of my shirt or something. You know what I mean?
And now that's on whatever.
Yeah, and it's like
on his special.
Exactly. So so you take that you take that forever, and I've always kind of loved that experience, and I've wanted to have that kind of experience. And I went to a wrestling show. And one of the wrestlers, like they do this a lot, where like they rip the shirt and they throw it to the audience. I caught a wrestling shirt.
Oh yeah.
And it's like it was a house show. It wasn't even like a televised show and stuff. I caught one, Xavier Woods from the New Day.
Oh.
I caught his shirt. I guess you would know, because he's like a gamer. Yeah, he's like a streamer. I caught his shirt, and it was like the best experience. Like then I instantly became a Xavier Woods fan, because like New Day was great. I like New Day. I like Xavier Woods, but now he's even better, because I'm like, oh my god, I caught the shirt.
Part of your personal life experience.
So I've always done that, and I try to tiptoe on offensive, or like just enough that like it's to laugh at, and you can laugh at yourself, or like everyone else. Sure, everyone else is laughing at you, but like you're part of this joke now,
Because that lady, like when you played that little bit of that song, right?
Yeah.
If that lady just went like, oh, okay, I get it, he made fun of me, then like the joke dies.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
her
yeah.
going like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like then you can ride off of that and be like, what are you talking about, right? So it's like it is reeling it in, where it's like, you want to pull them in a little bit at a time until you can fully catch them. And you don't want to like just like alienate them where they like swim off. Right? It's like, oh, okay, whatever.
So in wrestling, there's like a wrestling term where like the audience and the people who still kind of believe it, like they're called marks. So I will find my mark like at every show, and then I will like entertain that person or that table or whatever, that group of people, and those are my marks. Like that's like how I like to think of it. I'm like, once somebody takes the bait, and I'm like, that's it. That's my mark. Like the whole show, like it's going to be revolving around that one person. And if people are paying attention, they're going to get a great show, because it's like, okay, now that Aldrine found like the one person, like you're going to be in on the joke.
Yeah. Magicians do the same thing too, where it's almost like when somebody's like, I know how that trick was done. then it's just like setting off radars for them where it's like, I am gonna get you.
And thank you for saying that.
Yeah. And then where it's like, even like, I don't care if everybody around you knows how the trick is done, because at that point they're a part of the trick too. But if you can't see it, then that I accomplished what I did. Right?
Yeah,
and it's gonna be a good show. So
yeah, so that's it. And I never thought of that. That was the double triple layer joke that, that I did that day, just because it's like I just say stuff off the cuff and then like I forget about it the next day.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I do a lot of like improv.
Yeah.
Crowd work.
And it makes sense because over time you would have to have tried a bunch of different things and saw like what worked and what didn't work, and then given a new situation, because that's what improv comedy is, right? It's not necessarily that they're coming up with something fresh on the spot. It's just that they've encountered a situation similar to that, and so they know what direction to head and what kind of avenues to take.
And how to make that situation entertaining or funny.
Yeah, exactly. So they've prepared enough. And so I guess over all of these years, you've prepared enough so that you can take any situation that's thrown at you like during the show and spin it in a way that can be entertaining for the rest of the audience.
But if somebody wants to do what you do, I think that is great advice, where it's like, you got to do it a lot.
Yeah.
And because it's like, you just got to, it's like improv or comedy or anything. You'll hear improvs and comedians talk about where it's like, I just did it so much where it's like, okay, this joke didn't land, mark it off. This joke did work, like bump it up, keep this one, And it's like, if you do 100 shows, it's like, you're gonna find at least like, okay, I got something in there, right? At least I got something.
But there's always jokes that I love that really does toe that line of awkward. You know what I mean? Like I hope this is a joke, because that was kind of hurtful.
There's a lot of things that you do that are like, if you were to ask someone, how do I perform on stage for like an audience, like they would tell you, don't do this. Don't, like a lot of things that a normal person would say don't do, you do, and you pull it off. And so,
I think it's that idea though, right? Where it's like, you're like, I want to tell this joke where it'll make people laugh, but they're like, oh, should I have laughed at that? But then at the end of the night, they're like, okay, I am a part of this. Like, I am on this side. Right? You want to ultimately like win them over. So they're like, okay, I get it.
So for those people, you gotta come to Wednesday night or Friday nights, or sometimes Thursday nights are fun also. Like me and Kaniho will. But the thing with Kaniho is that he finds me entertaining as well. That like he breaks character, and I was like, no, dude, you gotta keep the thing. You gotta stick with the bit. Like this is a bit. Don't just like don't laugh with the audience.
He cracks up.
He cracks up. So like sometimes I can't do my bit because Kaniho just gives it away. I'm like, oh man, I was setting something up. Like, but sometimes he understands the assignment and he goes with it. Like this past, I've started doing this joke where, because like I'm in the middle, and Kaniho's to the right of me, and Aaron's to my left, and Kaniho's tattoos are on the right side, so it's facing away from me. So like this whole joke of like, he's like, Kaniho is half Hawaiian, half Filipino, and the half Hawaiian side is facing away from me, and like the Filipino side is the one that faces like in my direction.
Thank you for keeping it that way.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know, there's all these things that like that he understands the assignment, and now he plays along with that joke, and the whole like he gets a tattoo for every good deed that he does.
I mean, thinking about it, it's like you have been like almost on double duty for a pretty long time, where it's like you're playing your gigs and then you're also doing like our podcast and stuff. So it is like, I'm sure if Kaniho had to do that too, he would get it, where it's like, oh, I gotta be the face. Like when it's time to be the face, I gotta do it, right? Has any of your friends listened to this show yet, Kahai? And do they feel like you're unrecognizable on this show? Well,
right?
When we were talking about that, a good example is Rue afterwards was like, "Oh, what's up? It seems like you're like tired." And I'm like, "Rue, when we do the show, I am this way." But as soon as it finishes, I gotta think about putting up the podcast, and all of that is in my brain. So I just like, I turn it off. I gotta like, I can't be like, "Hey guys, what's up?" You know?
Hey, oh, KFC, right?
Oh, play along.
Oh, yes, boss, or whatever. You know, like, good one.
That was it Sungwon Cho? Pro ZD, he did a video on his channel. It's like a PSA to anyone who meets me in real life. It's like this is my face. I'm not mad. I'm not angry or sad. This is just what I look like.
He did recently. He did like a show called Drawfee with it.
Yeah.
And he was like a character. And he's doing his character voice. And he's like, "Oh, let me do an impersonation. This is a normal, boring guy. Hey, what's up, guys?" It's just a normal voice, right? And that's like, he knows, like, if you guys meet me, it's like, I'm not going to be like,
he's not going to turn it on.
Even though he is like the voice of like so many animated things.
So you've had friends that like that listen to the show and they're like, "Oh, who is that guy like on the show?"
No, I think because my Justin, who listens to the show, I think
he knows me too, and he knows how I instigate.
Yeah, I think he gets it. Or he knew me before I did the show, so he probably knew like, that's not Kai. Whatever.
So so like, just much like I'm like, you know, to some of my friends, I'm unrecognizable on this show. So is Kai, you know. I think the only recognizable person is Aaron. It's like, that sounds like Aaron. Like, that sounds like stuff that Aaron would say. Because Aaron's hilarious. Like I've always, me and my wife will be like, "Oh, Aaron knows exactly. He has really good comedic timing.
Yeah.
That like he picks his spots where like, but the things that he does say, like it like kills. It lands every time. He has very little to say, but when he does, it lands.
They call it like snipers and what is it, like improv? Because it's like the one person through the whole scene, they'll be quiet and then they'll just say one thing and then it's like, oh my gosh. Whereas like the other people, there's like a guy and it's like they're doing an improv scene where it's like he's supposed to be on trial and the other person was doing a long monologue and he's like, "Did my client do this? That is the question that we're asking." And then the guy's just like, "Yep, I did it." And he's like, "Oh, hey, shut up. It's like just that few words, right? So,
All right, we got questions, Kai.
Yeah. Okay. So Todd said, "What is your process for learning a new song? Do you write down the lyrics to the song to learn them, or play the song over and over?"
Okay. So I'm guessing you're asking about like covering a song, because like sing them over and over and write down the lyrics and stuff like to learn them. Like, so if I'm doing a cover song, it depends really. Like it starts out with just listening to it over and over. Of course, you got to get to know the song before, you know, like you go and attempt. So I'll listen to it at least 5-10 times, you know, if I feel like that's a good amount of listen to at least like respect the song and what, you know, what the song originally sounds like and how you're going to translate it to what you do. So it's always a good idea to do that. A lot of the times when like, you know, when people are trying to do like a cover, and especially like content creators where they're like, okay, cool, you know, like there's this new song out, so I need to do like a cover of it and put it out and stuff. It's, you know, it's missing a lot of elements. So for me, at least 5-10 times, 10, like maybe I'll go 10-15 times just to kind of minimum 10 times just to understand the song, what, you know, like all the elements of it, what it's trying to say, like the feel, all that stuff. And meanwhile, you know, trying to get the lyrics down and trying to feel where the chords are going and what kind of progression it's doing. While I'm doing that, of course, I try to like think about how I'm going to put my own spin on it already and what kind of stuff, how it translates to what I do. Okay, so that's when, you know, I go to my friend Ultimate Guitar and like look up the chords and stuff. And on the breakfast table, you know, my kids are just like, "Hey, what are you going to play for us today, Dad?" It's like, "Today I got Die With a Smile by Bruno Mars," you know? and I always kind of like, they're my first audience now, you know? Like, only because my kids love me temporarily right now. Like they love everything that I do. So they're always the best audience, you know? So I'll try it out with them and I have the lyrics and the chords and stuff. I'll keep playing it. And and kind of seeing what works and what doesn't work and what fits where. So I'll try to do that. And but that's usually how I go about learning like a cover song. And then I'll, play it a bunch by myself, and then keep listening to it in the car, and just kind of, on my commutes, just kind of like listening and learning it. I've been doing it a lot lately, actually. I've been trying to like introduce new songs to our set. And that was one of my my New Year's resolutions, was to like try to breathe some new life to our very old crusty like set that hasn't changed in like 15 years, So I've been, so I'm glad you asked that question, because that's what I've been doing right now, and that's been my process.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But minimum 10 times. Respect the song first, like,
Is that's before even attempting to play
yeah, just to kind of like really groove, like get an understanding for the tune, get the groove, like listen to the lyrics, listen to like the highs and lows of of the feel of the song.
Yeah.
And then try to sing along, because like by like the third, fourth like listen, you're gonna catch lyrics already, and you're gonna try to sing along, and then try to like to match the feel or the singing lines to it. And after the 10th listen, then I'm ready to attempt it, I feel like.
Should they is like kind of, I mean, like listen to it a bunch, but like is that, would you suggest them, if they're gonna sing and play, to do that separately too, like practice just singing along to the song and then practice?
Good question. I mean, you're practicing the singing while you're listening, like while you're listening to the tune, you're kind of I mean, give it a few listens without doing that first, and then kind of try to sing along to the parts that and even if you're just mumbling, just to see if you can match the like the vocal lines, like you don't need to know the lyrics like perfectly. Just so you're not performing it for anybody, just mumble, like just say whatever you think the line is, like and just
to get the phrasing
to get the phrasing down, right? And then like listen to like how the chords are moving, or where the chords are moving, or like how it got to like a certain chord. And if there's a chord that doesn't feel like it belongs there, like if it's out of like the chord family or something, you do want to take notes of those things. So, and that's all in the listening process, like I said, about like 5-10 times. 10, 15 times, maybe that, just to really like respect the like the writer, the performer, or
Okay. Chris and Sue said, when you play 9th, 11th, and 13th chords, do they always include a flatted 7th? Do add 9, add 11th, and add 13 chords not have a flatted 7th?
Okay. Yes, you do. That's kind of part of the stack, is that like that flat 7. Okay, so like a 9th chord would be like a 1, 3, 5, flat 7, and 9. An 11 chord would be 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 9, 11. And a 13 chord would be 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 9, 11, and 13. Okay, so if you're asking not having the flatted 5th in ukulele, because we only have 4 notes, and a 13th chord has 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 9, 11, 13. It has 7 notes in there. You know what I mean? Like to play a true 13th chord. So you can omit some of those that are kind of implied notes already, and in order to create a pseudo 13th note. Then when I'm talking about just chords that are like, if you're saying A9, then it would be 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 9. But if you're going A add 9, that's a different story. You don't need the flat 7 for that. But if we're talking 9 chords, 11 chords, or an A11 would be 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 9, 11. But there are exceptions to that rule, and I think with the ukulele, there's a lot of workarounds and trying to still get the same feel or same kind of sound like from those chords without having to add the flat 7 in there, where you can still call it like an A13, but it would be like heavily modified because you're taking out like 3 out of the 7 notes in there.
Yeah. Although Chris and Sue, between the two of them, they could
you could play true 13 chords.
Yeah. Two ukuleles.
Yeah.
Could you show like what is?
And you're gonna ask this. Like, okay, yeah, go ahead.
Or at least because when you're doing a seventh and then you're doing a 9 chord, you're trying to make the 9 have the same feeling as a dominant seventh, right?
So I've just the example. So here's a C chord. So C comprised of 1, 3, and 5. Here are 1 being C, and we have 2 of them, and 3, which would be the E, and then the 5, which is this G. So 1, 3, 1, 1, 3, 1, 3, 5. Okay, so that's your regular C, comprised of 1, 3, and 5. Now, a C7, or C dominant 7 in this case, is that flat 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're flatting that, right? So we have the 1. We no longer have 2 because we're going to sacrifice this 1 string to play the flat 7. So 1, 1 and 3, 1, 3 and 5, 1, 3, 5 flat 7. That's why when you play this, it becomes your 7th chord. Okay, your C7, right? Now, a C9 would be 1, 3, 5, flat 7, and 9, right? So I don't have 5 strings on this particular ukulele. So for me to do that, I would have to pick one of the notes to omit. Okay, so I'm gonna start out with my C7, and since 9, 8, we all know 8 is the same as 1, right? So that means we either hit a 2 or we hit like a true 9, which is an octave up. So in this case, I can go about this 2 different ways, okay? So the first way, which is a lot of ukulele players will go, is this is your C, which then can be interpreted as your 8. You can just hit the 9 there. So which means you're omitting the 1. Mm-hmm. So you now have 3, 5, flat 7, and 9. This is your C9 chord. It doesn't even have the C in there. It's like implied that it's just like a C9 chord, okay? Just based on all the notes that's in that, that's in that chord, okay? And then now like on 11, so 8, 9, 10, 11, so you got to add that F in there, okay? So like what else can we sacrifice? So if we got this already and F is our 11, then playing this would technically maybe be like C. So sorry.
Only
the further
certain context.
Yeah. So the further, you go into stacking more and more things, in ukulele, you're going to have to take away stuff. So it's less and less going to sound like the chord that you're intending to do, unless you really need that voicing. So in this case, like, you no longer have a C or an E, and then it's going to sound more like a G minor 7 than it is a C11.
Because when you're taking away notes, it's like not clashing with the notes that you're adding to it, right? So that's why it's like you kind of don't have that full chord. But it's like if you have somebody else playing the actual chord and you're playing this one,
then you can create that, like, so for example, if Aaron is playing his guitar and he's playing a C, right? Mm-hmm. So that means none of those notes. So like there's a C and there's an E in what he's playing. Mm-hmm. So if I play this, which would be typically, a G minor 7 if I was playing by myself.
Yeah, but I'm playing a C.
Yeah, while Aaron's playing a C, both of us combined are playing a C11. That's like, so in the sense that like, Chris and Sue could technically play a C11 between the both of them. So one just has to play the bass 1, 3, 5 chords, and which I would hope is the baritone is playing the bass 1, 3, 5, and then you can go like a 5 flat 9, like 5 flat 7, 9, 11 on the other one, which would then give you, which is exactly what I'm playing here. So I'm left with the 5, the flat 7, the 9, and the 11. Yeah. So if I don't know, maybe play that ukulele and play C, and then I'll play this against it. I don't know if it's too much, but yeah, that's your C. 1, 2, 3. that would technically be a C11, you know? So hearing, you know, like hearing the 135 from that ukulele and then continuing on to this, but maybe I wouldn't even play it that way. I would maybe add the 11 up on, I would add the 11 up on top. And then here's here's the 9. Let's see what else. Here's the 5. So it'd be like, I'd play it like this. Yeah, that sounds better. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That would be a true like C11 because now I'm doing this so that I can play the 1, 3, and 5 and like not have to stretch this far out, you know? But since he's playing the 1, 3, 5 there, I can technically just kind of do this. It's so weird. Wait. Are we to it? Kind of. Yeah, but so I would be, you know, so here's the 5, here's the though I guess I would need this. Where can I hit that? Okay. Never that. So 1, 2, 3. That's it. It's like so weird. Yeah. Because the F would be the 11. You would have the B flat, which should be the flat 7. So oh no, I need this note too for the 9. One more time. So there's 5, flat 7. Here's a 9, and there's the 11. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And it sounds like a dominant 7th where it's like you would play like an F or something afterwards to resolve that chord too, or you could resolve it using that. But could you also play add 9 chord so people can hear the difference between like what?
Oh, the like 9th and the add 9.
Okay.
Or just like add 9. Yeah. So it's like people can hear like the difference between dominant chords and then the add chords.
So here is here's a regular C chord. There's C add 9. This goes 1, 3, 5 with the added 9.
Yeah, but no flat 7.
And here's a C9. Because here's the flat the flat 7. Or so versus it doesn't have the tension.
Yeah.
The tension of the flat 7 makes that whole chord. Yep. So you can just add whatever or suspend whatever, you know? But when we're talking like just a standalone like 9, 11, 13 chords, then it's like but at that point, because you're going 1, 3, 5, flat 7, and a 9, and an 11, and a 9 being the 2, 11 being the the 4, and then like the 13 being the 6. So you're just basically playing like you're going like this, you know, like on a piano.
There is like Jacob Collier says like, you can play one chord where it has every single note on the piano. And so it's like you're just building that chord and you just hold the suspended pedal and then you just keep going up the piano. Right? Keep adding. So it's like
yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. There, and next question.
Yvette said, don't like Fishman pickups. Looking about installing a MySide pickup on a Kloss Concert carbon fiber uke. So I purchased both MySide and LR bags.
Yeah. Okay. So you want to think of the pickup as like your microphone. Okay. Like for your ukulele. That's what pickups do. Basically, it's gonna pick up the sound and then like amplifying it. By like plugging it into plugging it into an amp or plug it into a sound system and stuff or PA. Now, I say like think of it as as a microphone because the microphone doesn't work by itself either. You got to plug that microphone into something, right? So same thing. So that's like a microphone for your ukulele, and like the microphone is gonna is gonna matter if it's like a dynamic microphone, if it's gonna be a condenser microphone. Like there's all these different kinds of microphones, right? And much like how there are a bunch of different kinds of pickups, so you want to choose the pickup for for amplifying your instrument how you want to amplify your instrument. Okay, so for myself, I know a lot of people like dig the my side, but I'm just not not that into it. But that's just my personal thing. Okay, I not saying that I love Fishman. I don't like Fishman either, because Fishman's got that quack that I'm not a big fan of, especially on a treble instrument like the ukulele. It tends to be a little way too quacky, and don't ask me to explain that, because it's hard to explain what the quack means, but it just now there are like other brands you could that you could try. There's a bunch of pickup pickup brands and makers that have made even like past from where my knowledge stops, because I haven't gone to NAMM in forever, so I'm not really too familiar about like the pickup makers nowadays. And I know people are experimenting with a bunch of different like technology for pickups nowadays. So, and I would go look into that. Much like like microphones have been around for a really, really, really long time, but people are still making new microphones today. Okay. Now, why the reason why I don't like the my side, because I feel like it doesn't give enough power, or it doesn't give enough amplification to what I'm looking for. I always have to turn it up on the PA or turn it up on my DI, which has a built-in EQ and gain and stuff. So I don't necessarily like that, because the more gain that I'm putting on on something that is not on the ukulele itself, and that's kind of a recipe for feedback and and overtones that I'm not really that a big fan of. So I want most of the power coming from here. So I use an Artec pickup. So I don't use LR Bags or Fishman. I use Artec. And that goes on my undersaddle, and it's being powered by a 9-volt battery. So that 9-volt battery is powering that up, and then it goes to the PA. So the signal going from the ukulele to the PA is sufficient enough to make my ukulele loud, enough, right? Because if the ukulele stuff was soft, then I plug it in, and you got to turn it up from the PA. Yeah. That's how you get feedback, because you're trying to amplify what the signal that the ukulele is sending to the PA. But if the signal itself was already strong coming from the ukulele to the PA, then you don't have to bring it up so much. And that's the reason why I'm not into my side, because people will tell you and they'll try to sell it to you that oh, it's just like a watch battery pickup, it's a watch battery, so it's not that heavy, and it's not going to affect the sound and stuff, and it's it's sufficient enough. And some people even label it as an active pickup. And but it's not. It's just it doesn't have the same.
It's technically active.
It's technically active in the sense that it has a power source.
Yeah.
But the power source is just not that not that much.
I think the technology that they're using is a passive pickup, but then running it through a preamp before it goes out, right? So
so it's like a rechargeable watch battery though, yeah.
So it does boost the signal a little bit, but it kind of if you're starting off where the signal is soft anyways, it's not gonna.
So you're still doing that same thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not I'm not too into using my size, or I'm not too into using passive pickups either. A lot of people like passive pickups because it picks up everything, like the ukulele itself, but that's kind of what I don't want, because I move around and you're gonna hear the noises, and because it doesn't have an active a power source to that pickup. We were running into the same problems where you would have to turn it up from that end, and it's just not, there's a recipe for feedback.
Kind of, if you know mics and know how mics work, it's kind of like imagining that you're using a mic, and instead of getting closer to the mic to make your voice sound louder, is whoever's on the other side,
you're just turning it up, turning up the microphone.
And so when you do that, it does get louder, but then you also hear everything else in the room or whatever.
It's a hot mic. It's a hot mic. But if the mic just had good gain, by itself, which is exactly what I'm talking about with the true active pickups, then it's less room for feedback. And it's one of those like, this is gonna be one of those controversial takes, but like and I don't know why they're like, why so much people swear by them, but if you ask any of like, like the professionals, like you already asked me and I don't, like Kale or Jake or Taimane or like, any of those like hardy hitters like that play for like big crowds at some stadium level kind of musicians and stuff, like if they would use a maisai like on their ukulele, and they're gonna be like, I don't think so. But if you have just a small little setup, then that should be fine. So I'm not knocking on like, it is the size of the setup. But if you find your ukulele feeding back a lot, that's why.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that might be why like people suggest it so much, right? Is like because it's probably a lot of people who use it they're not like gigging every night.
Yeah, and it's fine for them to just be you just be plugged in.
Yeah, if you're just plugging into a small little amp, like a Roland or whatever, and you're just playing at home or maybe in the backyard for some of your friends, then it's probably
okay.
all that you would need.
Should be just fine,
Yeah.
It's like you also probably are not experiencing feedback or other stuff because it's like your sound system isn't set up where it's like pointed at you and then the pickup can hear it too. So it's like, it works. So it's like, that's all I need.
So, I mean, it's just slightly better than miking your ukulele because miking your ukulele, same thing. You're trying to like make the mic louder so it picks up your ukulele more, but then you're prone to like, to feedback and stuff.
I mean, even like if somebody was using a mic pickup and they're getting feedback, that's like my first solution would be like, okay, we'll just mic it then. We'll use the actual mic because that might work.
Yeah, a lot of people swear by it, but like, ask any of like the top level professionals, like none of them are using my side pickups.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like if I say that, like if I pull back the curtain a little bit, people are like, people are like, yeah, but, like we're going to get all these like, no, but my side sounds so like,
that's exactly it though.
It's great. And it's great if it sounds good for you. And that's awesome. Like that's fine.
That's all you need. So same thing with Yvette too, like I'm guessing you're researching it and you might not be able to go to a store where they already have it installed in a ukulele, but if you can, try out different pickups installed in different ukuleles and just see like ask them to plug into an amp, play it, and then try and find the one that is like, I like how this one sounds.
I did I had the same kind of conversation, but like with strings, with someone I knew, and it's one of those, but like how many of like the gigging ukulele players are playing with like Aquila strings? But a lot of people swear about like Aquila strings sounds so good, but like, I mean, if I gig with Aquila strings, it's like my nylon set of Aquila strings. It wouldn't be like the, like the Nile Tech or Nile Gut or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, but so much people swear by it, and it's great, like for like unplugged, if you really want like a good boost in volume like on your sound, they're great for that. But a lot of like gigging touring musicians like will not necessarily go for that.
I think it's kind of like what is it? It's like people are like, I love McDonald's, and it's like I can't argue with you there. If you love
it's great.
McDonald's, it's great for you.
It's great. I dabble in McDonald's myself. A little bit of McDonald's.
Like, if there's McDonald's on the plate, I'm not gonna say no.
I ain't complaining. You know what I mean? I'm not like I can't play this. Like it's got whatever strings on it. Yeah, it's no, just no.
Diced onions, get that away from me. I only eat organic. It's not that.
Yeah. Yvette was saying that the close ukulele that she has comes with a Fishman. But I guess one thing that you might consider too is that I know that the Fishman comes with an onboard tuner.
Yeah.
So it has a display.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking of replacing the pickup, either you keep the display in the ukulele and it's non-functional and then replace the pickup, or you pull the whole thing out and you have a hole in your ukulele.
And a side port. You can just round it out.
Yeah, round it out.
Round it out.
Yeah, so that's I mean, but then it's also carbon fiber, so you don't really want to do that without
ruining the whole thing.
Yeah, or just like at least a mask, right? It's not good to breathe in.
Yeah,
I think
so.
And she said she's like wants it, or she's looking at that, and it's a carbon fiber one, and I'm guessing that's kind of what you're going for, right? Is like carbon fiber aspect of it. But at a certain point, it's like kind of you gotta ask yourself, is like, am I really spending this much money on this ukulele plus a pickup where I can just get another ukulele that already has a pickup installed?
Yeah.
But like a lot of, and it's another, now the controversial one was like from non-professional players. Like it's controversial because I talked about like what the professionals are playing, but now with the professional musicians, though, this is going to be a little bit controversial for them, but I think that some of like the mass-produced pickups nowadays that are like pre-installed and say like Kala and stuff like that actually sound pretty good. You know what I mean? Like some shadow pickups or whatever they're calling it now, or like Kala has their own like pickup. Or
like they're proprietary, but they're probably using.
Not bad. I know like some of my friends will be like, how could you say that? Like on your podcast, why are you perpetuating this? Like, you know what? Whatever. Like, because the people who are getting that are, the people who are not like, who are not getting like the thousands of dollars for like a Kamaka or Kanilea, right? And they pay $400 or $500 for an ukulele and it has a pickup in there already. It's like, it's pretty good for that $400 or $500 ukulele that you're putting this like proprietary whatever shadow like or Kala pickup that's in there, and it sounds pretty good for that ukulele, I think. Yeah.
So if you're recording to like a computer and stuff, and you can put on effects afterwards too,
doesn't matter.
It's like, I think you could record it and then you could put it up against like a way better pickup and stuff, and ask people like, can you hear a difference? And they'll be like, maybe, but
not really, so I think that too. So don't think I'm a snob of like, oh, he only likes high end whatever like active pickups. Like, no, our tech is not high end at all. Like it is actually the generic brand, like that's not LR Bags and Fishman and all these other all these other brands. Like our tech is actually one of the cheapest pickups that I've seen, and same thing with like Shadow and Kala or Fish, or not Fishman, but like Martin and like all these guys have like their own like pickups now, and they're fine. And I mean, some pickups are even like crazy, insane, and like the kind of features that it has. Like I've played like, I think it was like an Enya or whatever with like built-in effects like on that on that pickup or whatever. It's like, it's pretty cool, man. Yeah, I know my professional friends are like, oh, don't say that. Like they're not, but they're fun, They're for the people who just kind of want that,
Yeah, just
a little like little gimmick, It's cool. I dig it. I have nothing against that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next.
I think that's pretty much it.
That's it.
All the questions we got through, I think. So.
Yeah. So. All right, thank you so much for tuning in to the Ukulele Underground podcast. Make sure you check out ukuleleunderground.com. Ukuleleunderground.com is where you can learn how to play the ukulele, learn a bunch of songs. We got, I don't know, like 150, 200 songs in there now. Like how many songs do we have in there, Kai?
No, I think we have over 300.
300?
I'm pretty sure.
Like, snap, okay. I mean, times, I guess.
I think 300... including some repeat lessons and stuff, but it's like it is like around there.
Yeah, but the repeat lessons are like there's a strumming, singing version of that song, or there's a picking version of that song, right? So it's not even just like
or songs made easy version.
Yeah, or songs made easy version of it. Like so it's different versions of those songs. Yeah,
I think we have 3 versions of Island Style because it's original key, solo, and then with John
Cruz. Yeah, you're not about to tell John Cruz to not play it a whole step down after he just blew his voice in like the night before the concert.
Can we play it in original key, please, John?
And you're not gonna be like, so John, can we like reschedule with you? Like, no, you go on John Cruz's time, okay? You respect the man and his craft.
John, what like you play your guitar, I'll detune my ukulele to match your guitar. It's like that's it. Do whatever.
I definitely detuned my ukulele that day.
That was a hard day.
Yeah, it was, my ukulele had the hardest time staying in tune that day just because it was outside. It was like at the beach and stuff. It's not the most ideal conditions for staying in tune. So, but you know what I mean? When John Cruz tells you that he only has this time that he's free, you go there at that time.
Yep.
If your ukulele can't stay in tune, because of the weather, because of the whatever, you're just gonna have to keep rolling, man. Okay. Make sure you check that out. Go over to ukuleleunderground.com. Make a friend or two over at forum.ukuleleunderground.com. The forum has tons and tons of ukulele enthusiasts just like yourself, who want to go and talk about ukulele and share their thoughts about ukulele. And man, do they share their thoughts, Kai. Whether you like it or not. Now there's some awesome people there, so make sure you check them out. Like, I love those guys. Okay. Make sure you check out shop.ukuleleunderground.com. Shop.ukuleleunderground.com. Pick yourself up an ukulele. We've been talking about ukulele this whole time. If you want to grab an ukulele for yourself, we do sell ukuleles there. If not, if you just want to support the channel, pick up a lesson or two. We do have like a la carte lessons there. We have shirts and other kinds of cool merch that have Ukulele Underground on it. Represent Ukulele Underground at home or at your local ukulele club or whatever, or wherever you go, wherever you want to represent our brand. Yeah, you can go check out the merch there and support this show. That's one of the ways you guys can support us and what we do. Main way, of course, UU Plus, Ukulele Underground Plus. Take your ukulele playing to that next level with some premium lessons over at ukuleleunderground.com/UU Plus, right? Or just go to ukuleleunderground.com.
And sign up
for UU Plus. Okay, it's all there. All right. Have a great week, guys. It's only Monday. It's only gonna get better from here, right, Kahai? Right?
Yep.
Yeah, you gotta get that persona.
My mouth is drooling for some reason. I don't know what's going on.
Pavlovian.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Have a great one. Aloha. Drink some water. Take some grass. Go do your thing. Love your people.